If you look at ChatGPT, Claude, or Midjourney and think it's just a convenient way to polish your emails, stop what you're doing and listen closely. You're drastically underestimating what is unfolding right in front of us while scrolling past a wealth-building window that looks like buying Manhattan real estate 2 decades ago. Most people think the AI gold rush already happened, seeing headlines and billions of dollars in data centers, but they mistakenly believe the story is already over. They think they missed the boat, but what I'm about to walk you through will completely reframe how you look at this market. Because the mainstream narrative is backward. We aren't at the end of the hype cycle, we're at the absolute beginning of a structural transformation in how human value is actually generated today. People who recognize this shift are positioning themselves for an asymmetric upside that most simply cannot comprehend yet. It's a window that won't stay open forever. Let's not sugarcoat it. The traditional model of exchanging your time directly for income is structurally broken, and it's a game you ultimately cannot win. For decades, your earning potential has been capped by the stubborn ceiling of time, because you only have 24 hours and you still need to sleep. You have a finite amount of cognitive bandwidth. Human labor operates under a hard limit, much like a commodity getting slammed down at every resistance level. But AI isn't just nudging that ceiling, it is completely shattering it. What emerges on the other side is a new category of value I call digital minds. So what exactly is an AI asset? It is a piece of digital architecture that, once deployed, continues to operate autonomously with almost zero human intervention. It's not a one-off output or a chatbot cover letter. It's a repeatable, closed-loop process that keeps generating value for you while the world keeps turning. Imagine a vertical intelligence system that runs 24 hours a day, constantly scanning industries, extracting data, and distributing specific reports automatically to your paying clients. Yes, there is a cost to this. You'll have to pay in blood, sweat, and time, investing 20 highly focused hours just to build your first viable system. You're going to face a deeply frustrating early phase. For the first 3 months, you'll likely see zero external validation and feel like you're talking to a wall. Most people quit right there, that's the filter. But if you survive the discomfort, you gain a repeatable machine that generates value continuously, even while you're asleep. To really grasp this, you must fundamentally shift your mental framework, because most people still treat AI as a tool like a hammer that requires a swing. When you stop swinging, the house stops getting built. It's a time-dependent model where you're still the bottleneck holding everything back from actually scaling. The real money happens when you stop treating AI as a tool and start treating it as infrastructure. It's digital land that hosts productive activity for your future. Historically, physical land was valuable because you could build property and lease it out. AI systems are the modern equivalent of commercial buildings constructed on digital territory. When you connect APIs and automation platforms into a cohesive loop, you're constructing a self-operating entity. You're no longer the laborer, but the architect and owner. That system doesn't get tired or ask for a raise. It doesn't need a coffee break. And crucially, it doesn't incur proportional costs as the operation scales up. Whether it processes 10 inputs or 10,000, your cost difference is a rounding error. That is the absolute definition of a true asset with near zero marginal costs. We're witnessing a classic structural inflection point because for centuries, productivity moved in inches. But now 2 critical variables are diverging at a rate we've never seen. On one side, the cost of computation is collapsing week by week, while the reasoning power of these systems is exploding upwards into territory we can't fully map. Modern AI models can already match and outperform human professionals in tasks like copywriting or coding. Synthesis and complex research are now being handled by machines effortlessly. When the cost collapses to zero, but output quality explodes, the gap creates an opportunity zone. Every manual process replaced creates a massive margin differential for the owner. That differential is where wealth accumulates. You're no longer paid for how hard you work. You're capturing the spread between human labor costs and AI-driven efficiencies. Let me make this concrete. This isn't theory. I know a college student who replaced an entire 3-person team using a couple of off-the-shelf AI tools. His target was SEO operations for local service businesses like roofers and plumbers. Traditionally, these agencies would charge thousands of dollars a month for simple manual labor. This kid realized it was entirely inefficient and built a system using automation platforms like Make or N8N wired directly into modern language models to handle everything automatically. His system automatically scrapes the web for trending local keywords and generates highly specific content, proving that the old way of working is simply dead in this economy. The system generates SEO-optimized articles tailored to that exact city, formats everything with headers and meta tags, and publishes it directly to the client's website and social media. It took him a few days of brutal trial and error to refine the prompts and get the APIs talking to each other, but once it clicked, the system became completely autonomous. He now manages dozens of clients at the exact same time and charges them significantly less than the big bloated agencies. Yet his profit margins are sitting comfortably above 90%. He isn't selling his hours anymore. He's selling the output of his digital mine, where the system does the heavy lifting while he just collects the yield. The dominant narrative out there, the objection I hear every single day is, if these tools are so cheap and accessible, doesn't that mean the barrier to entry is zero? If everyone can build this, where's the moat? And this is where the casual observers get it completely wrong, because they think the AI model itself is the source of value. The tools are just the concrete and steel, but the way you engineer them together into a complex workflow is your only real defensibility in this market. There are 3 distinct layers of defensibility when you build an AI asset. And the first is workflow complexity that a simple one-step prompt can never replicate. A multi-layered branching system that integrates real-time web scraping and logic-based routing is a nightmare to reverse engineer for anyone trying to steal your lunch. The second layer is proprietary data, because AI models are only as smart as the calories you feed them, and public models will always generate boring average outputs. The moment you plug your system into private data sets or hyper-niche industry documents, you create a customized brain that becomes incredibly difficult for others to replicate. Your data becomes the actual gold backing the currency. But the third layer you mustn't underestimate is the human trust and accountability required to run a business. A corporate client isn't going to blindly trust an autonomous script. They pay for the psychological safety of knowing a human being is standing behind the results. You aren't just delivering a data sheet. You're providing certainty in an uncertain landscape where the value of raw execution is rapidly plummeting to zero. As AI gets cheaper and more powerful, the value of human judgment in identifying the right problems is skyrocketing while everyone else generates infinite, meaningless content. The rarest commodity on earth becomes the person who knows exactly what content actually matters. So the playbook to position yourself is much more mechanical than you realize. Step 1 is to choose a niche, but listen to me carefully and don't pick a glamorous one. Ignore the sexy stuff and find the boring, repetitive, high-friction processes. The greatest wealth is currently hiding in e-commerce dynamic price monitoring, compliance document parsing, or medical billing reconciliation, because nobody is making documentaries about invoice processing. Find the friction and then break the workflow down into microscopic components, because you can only automate a process once you truly understand its skeletal structure. You don't need to be a software engineer to build the machine today, since the platforms are visual, using drag and drop logic that requires ruthless persistence rather than coding. Keep the training wheels on when you launch, review every single output to catch the hallucinations, and slowly refine the logic gates until the error rate finally drops. Never sell the technology, because clients don't care if you use Claude or a hamster on a wheel. They only care about the result and the packaged monthly service. That's how you detach your income from your time. But you must understand that platform dependency is a real risk if your empire relies on one specific AI model. The smartest architects build model-agnostic systems, treating the AI as an interchangeable engine part that can be hot-swapped if a provider raises prices or gets lazy. The ultimate hedge against technological risk is owning the relationship with your end customer, because tech stacks will evolve and APIs will break, but trust remains powerful. We're watching a structural shift in the architecture of modern wealth, and the next decade won't belong to people who use AI just to write better emails. It will belong entirely to the architects who build automated systems, even though the early stages are chaotic, and will certainly challenge your mental patience. Once you break through that initial barrier, and your first digital mind starts producing yield while you sleep, you'll achieve a level of leverage that was previously impossible. Windows like this don't stay open forever, and the longer you wait, the more the competition floods in and makes the game harder for everyone involved. The structural breakout is happening right now, so you have to decide if you're going to keep treating AI like a toy or start building real assets. Choose your path thoughtfully, because the decisions you make today will define your wealth and your place in the next generation of this digital economy.